Okay, let's move on to the next segment. 1934. Lincoln already set up the means to take over this country. He implemented martial law. Some of the western states, I was shocked when I found this out, didn't know. Some of the western states, even when they were, here's the deal. When you became a state, there were 13 colonies. Then after the war between the states, there was a territory that was ceded to the United States, to the Mississippi River. And then the territory west of the Mississippi River, but it was considered, because this was the United States on this continent, on this North American part of the continent, this was, the government in Washington had to make laws for what it, to run the United States, to deal with international, other nations. But the territories that were ceded to it, they had to do something with that too. That's why they published the Northwest Ordinance book and the Northwest Ordinance, which told the stipulations on the territory. And the territories were to the Mississippi that weren't, to the Canadian border, to Mexico, that weren't colonies already. So that implemented the first taxation, actually, because they had to have some way to support it. So they did have a method of taxing the territories. And the specifics of the Northwest Ordinance were when 60,000 people in any given area wanted to make a state, they walked out the border. They had a specific boundary, and they had a constitution. They submitted to the Congress, and Congress looked at the Constitution and saw the boundaries and saw that people were serious and wanted to become a state. And then the Congress either accepted the Constitution or didn't, said you need some changes in this. They made the changes. They asked for statehood again. Congress bestowed statehood on them. Well, when statehood was bestowed, every single acre inside that boundary that they had worked out was the state. There was no federal land whatsoever in any of these states that became states after the 13 colonies. So I have heard, and now I'll have to research this because I really truly don't know, and I hate to talk about things that I haven't researched. But I understand that in the western states, like I've always been baffled about, I'm from Utah. I've been baffled about the amount of federal land in Nevada, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, those states. It's believed that there are federal lands in those states. Well, that's impossible unless at some point that state, after it had been achieved statehood, unless that state ceded that land, which is a very laborious process. You just don't say, I herewith federal land. It's a process called cessation. And unless that land was ceded to the federal government, it belonged only to the state and to the people. Something happened. I have read that these lands got statehood only after conceding. Now, there's a difference between ceding and conceding. Conceding a portion of their lands to the federal government. See, that you can't have. That's like getting arrested and the judge says your bond is $10,000, and oh, by the way, I want you to wear this ankle monitor, or I want you to do this blow machine before you go off. There can't be conditions on a bond. There can't be conditions on a bond. You can't. So what they're doing is asking for your consent. If you say, ain't no way today, Jose, that's, in Texas, it's unconstitutional. It's against the Texas Constitution, and I'm pretty sure, well, I don't know that there is any, it's just against the Texas Constitution. It is against state constitutions.
They just fought a war to tell these people they didn't have the right to keep all the land. And now they're saying now you got to give some to the government.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, which is totally against this document, against the four organic documents of law in the United States: Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, Northwest Ordinance, and the Constitution of the United States. It's against everything we believe in to do any, or that's written, or any law to do any of the things they did. 1934, after the Depression, the bankers manipulated and brought in here. 1934, FDR called the Governor's Conference. And in my opinion, Lincoln looks like a saint to the side of FDR, but who knows? FDR said, we'll bail you out. We'll send Reconstruction money to your states, but you have to be under our thumb and you have to come to us for anything after that. So the states send money. The states got money called Reconstruction money into the states during that time to help them with their problems with their people.
To be administered by the people that the feds had sent down and put, like Sherman. That was that sort of people that were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they'd put programs in place that were administered by the federal government, and so the feds were in the states now. The feds were in the states, and they were taking money from the states. They send it to Washington. Washington sends some back. And if the states don't do what the federal government wants them to do, or if it's not part of the plan, they say, okay, we'll withhold the funds. Now, not one of these states since that time has thought, not one of these state governors had said, well, why are we sending them anyway? I mean, look at Texas, the 5th largest economic government in the world. Certainly, I mean, Texas is a country unto itself with unbelievable resources.
And was legitimately and factually before
Yeah, and
they were next.
But Texas has all the resources to sustain herself, and yet we send money to the feds and then we ask it back in the form of grants or